Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to a new episode of Keep Dreaming. Yes, today we're going to be talking about a brand new Sega Dreamcast game that is, well, it's relatively new. We're going to talk about it, a little bit about its history, and then of course I'll show you guys some gameplay. Before we do that though, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of horrible stuff that you guys hate that I have to say, and I have to say it anyway. And then, you know, social media stuff in the description, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, all that sort of thing is down there, plus the new channel, Flying and Eating. Okay, cool, thank you. Now, let's move forward. Yes, we're going to be talking about a relatively new game called Flea. Sort of relatively new, because we have 2 copies of it, and there's a reason for that. So here's the deal, before we get into the actual gameplay. This is a game made by a guy named Alistair, who works with a company called Low Tech Games, or, you know, I think he is Low Tech Games. Sorry, I don't totally know. But anyway, what I do know, because I talked to Alistair for a while, is that he decided to program a game for the NES that ultimately would become called Flea. It became just an indie game that he decided to work on. At one point, he decided to bring it over to the Dreamcast using NES emulation. And I think it was in 2020, he actually went ahead and did like a release of it, which was this. Now, this version of the game, which I actually showed back in the day, like just in an episode of Playload, I never did a video on it specifically, is just like a CDR build of it, meaning like they printed the, you know, the covers themselves, they burned it with a CD burner and all that sort of stuff, and then he just kind of mailed it to me, which was very nice of him to do. But I told him straight up, like, I appreciate that you did that, but like I gotta draw the line as far as like what I'm willing to cover. If it's on a press disc, which is normally the case with an independent game, then I'll cover it. But the thing with CDR-based games is there's a billion of them. People are doing them all the time. And so if you were to do that, we'd have 10 Dreamcast videos every single day. That it just would be impossible. So you just gotta create that border, as it were. To his credit, you know, he got together with another company, and they actually went ahead and did a press release, and they were cool enough to send that to me for free. So full disclosure on that. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, brand new Dreamcast game. So I'll read the description to you. Play as Henry, the hyperactive Flea in the award-winning retro-inspired platformer. Flea is a challenging platformer which sees you navigate inside beasts, collect blood, and get to the heart of the problem. Master over 80 levels, meet weird characters, and discover secrets. Cool. He was also cool enough to throw in some pins, you know, of the game. There's some pins for his other game too, which we'll talk about in a different video. But yeah, we are going to open it up here. I will show you the contents therein, and then we will actually go ahead and play it in a bit. If I can get past the plastic, which I probably should have been working on earlier, right? That would have been smart, better use of my time. But we'll make it happen here. So for those who have never, I guess you might be surprised that some of you out there are always like, wait, there's new Dreamcast games? Yes, but they don't come from Sega or big companies. They come from guys like these, independent developers, publishers. There's actually a ton of them. I've been doing videos on them for years. So you can check them out. There's a whole playlist of that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of games coming out, and as of late, there's even more. This was also published by Wave. Wave especially is like suddenly the competitor to Josh Prod. Josh Prod's been like this company that's just been pumping out Dreamcast games for the past few years. Like there was always a pretty good chance if it was a new indie Dreamcast game, Josh Prod was behind it. Suddenly Wave is like, hey, we're just going to do the same thing. So this was one of those games. So taking a look at the art there, as well as on the back. It's obviously European themed, but is, you know, North American style jewel case. When you open it up, it's got yeah, it's got 2 discs. I wasn't expecting that. The first disc there is the game itself, and the back is, oh, check it out. It's the original soundtrack. I did not know that they included the soundtrack disc. That's pretty cool, actually. That's like definitely more bang for your buck is getting the separate music CD. I did not know that was in there. That's pretty cool. And it's got back inlay artwork as well as a manual, which we'll go ahead and get out and take a look at here. There we go. Inside, we've got epilepsy warning in multiple languages. You've got basic controls. Actually some cool color artwork here with a little comic book type of explanation of things, objects, characters, a lot of characters actually. And yeah, enemies, and then the credits ultimately. So yeah, that is a huge improvement over the original CDR release, which is not really surprising because it is now like they put money in it. You know what I mean? So this was pressed in a factory and it was all done nice. So that's awesome.
And we are rolling here. So
there you go. There's your opening title screen. Not a whole lot to it, as you can see. So we're just going to hit start and get going. So the game looks very simplistic. Again, there's a common criticism with Dreamcast indies that they just look like, you know, like Sega Genesis games or whatever. In this case, you have to understand, this literally was an NES game. Like, this is unapologetically an NES game that Alistair made and that he decided to bring over to the Dreamcast. I gotta be honest, I think it's a lot of fun. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot, but it's surprisingly addictive. So, for the purposes of the footage, I ended up going through 10 of the levels, I think, including the first boss battle. And yes, there are boss battles of sorts, where you're basically, like, you'll see towards the end, where you're just kind of, like, outrunning the opponent. But basically, each section, as you can see, is just kind of like a puzzle solving. You have to get these little, like, blood packs or whatever, and not die. If you touch any of those, like, blades, I'm assuming that's what they're meant to be, see, like that, you just die. So I cut out the majority of the deaths and the failures, that way you guys can see as much of the levels as possible. Yeah, it's actually surprisingly a fun game. I really am pleasantly surprised. I really didn't expect much, and I got much more than I expected, if you will. So I will say that a couple other little technical things, as I pointed out before, or maybe I didn't sufficiently point out. This Dreamcast indie game, like all of them, is VGA compatible, meaning it can run in the high resolution modes. It's also region free, so it doesn't matter what version of the Dreamcast you have, Japanese, American, European, whatever, this game will boot on it. The only exception to that would be the mil-CD incompatible versions of the Dreamcast, which are very, very rare. Some versions of the Revision 2, which I'm like, the Dreamcast dude, I've only ever seen one of those in my entire life, and I'm an owner of it. So it's a very uncommon model. In other words, you'll be fine. So I'll let you guys kind of enjoy a little bit more of the gameplay and the music, and I'll catch up with you at the end. So I just want to give a huge shout out to Alistair and Wave, and say thank you for hooking me up with this stuff, and I'm glad that you guys are now supporting the Dreamcast. I think it's great to have more games on the system. If you guys are interested in it, please check them out. There's a link in the description. You can get this or any of the other stuff that they got. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.